Hey, Ben Wise here. Today I want to go over our base cycle, which is going to be our post-open competition cycle in the protocol. So first things first, if you're someone who did make it through to the quarterfinals, reach out to me. Email me, ben@zoarfitness.com. I will be happy to help walk you through that process. I consider you to be one of my athletes if you're doing the protocol, so reach out for sure. I will give you any resources that I give my one-on-one athletes. I'll make available to you because you're a paying customer just like they are. So be sure to do that. Just so you know, for the vast majority of people, because only 10% of the people who are actually competing made it through, for everybody else, we're going to be sort of moving on with the program and sort of going into, I don't want to call it an off-season phase, but realistically, that's kind of what it is, where it's a little bit a time to basically step away from some of the sports specificity that we've been doing, where it's been like a lot of intense interval work and metcons, and a lot more of like the lifting was the style that you'd be seeing it in competition, like more of like clusters and 4-time type lifts and things, with mainly like the Olympic lifts. And we're gonna move away from that. Obviously, we're not moving away from the Olympic lifts completely. We're not moving away from squatting. Like, there's a lot of things that we still need to have in the program. However, the way that we see those things and the intensity that we're putting, or the sort of the adaptation stress that we're putting, is going to be shifted away from a lot of, again, metcons mainly, moving that more towards strength development for now. So that's really the 1RM development is going to be the biggest focus in this upcoming block of time. Again, we're calling this the base cycle. So in the base, the biggest thing that we're going to be thinking about is, of strength qualities in particular, is developing the absolute strength. So that would be things like your 1 rep max back squat, deadlift, strict press. So CrossFit total is going to be a big part of this. We're also going to be doing a weighted pull up and basically working on strict deficit handstand push-ups, or variations of that are challenging for you as an individual, and we'll make that siloed off. So 1RM development is going to be a big part of this base cycle. And then also we're going to be focusing on some qualities that were maybe neglected a little bit more during the actual competition cycle. So it's going to be Murph Prep is one thing, right? So with Murph, obviously it's a long workout. It's got a lot of gymnastics volume. So we're going to be doing Murph Prep starting April 5th, which is the week after the open ends. So we had a little bit of a break, just sort of deload for a week, and then we'll jump into Murph Prep. It's not going to be super intense. That's not really the goal. The goal is just to start to build that volume and sort of move yourself down that spectrum, so that when it comes time to, and it's nice out, you can run outside and feel good doing that. So we're going to start to build up the run volume, but also basically think of it as like Cindy, like the pull-ups, push-ups, air squats, the rounds of that. We'll start to build that in as well. We'll do some vested things like wearing a weight vest. All of that will be part of Murph Prep, again, starting April 5th. In the mornings, 3 times a week, we're going to be giving you optional cyclical work in the morning. Optional, but strongly recommended. So this is going to be called aerobic accumulation, and it's just like it sounds. You're accumulating work. It's not supposed to be tough. If you're doing it tough, then it is detracting from your strength work that you're going to be doing in the PM sessions. That is not the goal at all, right? The goal is to be stressing different fiber types in these 2 different sessions, right? So the goal for the easy work is to make it easy and to make it sustainable. And then for the strength work, the goal is to produce as much tension and strength as you can to create that adaptation. So again, I'll be typically using a heart rate monitor or like heart rate zones for that. If you're someone who doesn't have a heart rate monitor, that's fine. I mean, either you could choose to get one, I'll link to that, but then also if you choose not to, I'll be using descriptors. So for example, it might be a smooth pace or sustainable pace or maintain nasal breathing. These are all correlates to these different heart rate zones. So if you don't have a heart rate monitor, that's okay. Just realize that you need to be more diligent about, okay, I need to keep in touch with myself and know what this feels like to be at that intensity. So that's going to be mainly zone 2 and below, especially starting off. It's going to be more like zone 0 to zone 1 work, and then we'll start to move into like zone 1, zone 2 in the later weeks, and then we'll also just be building out the minutes that were actually the duration of each of those morning sessions. Lastly, I know a lot of people who are going to the gym if they're well, they're either going to the gym in the mornings, and if that was the case, I would just say like whenever you go to the gym, do your strength work. So if it gets flipped where you are someone who goes to the gym in the morning, choose to just basically flip those 2 sessions where you do your cyclical work then in the PMs. So for most people, they probably go to the gym in the PM, maybe after work or something, and then this is just gonna be like a wake up cardio type session for them. So if you're someone who doesn't have any equipment at home, you don't have a bike or a rower at home, that's perfectly fine. You could be running or potentially even walking during that. Jump rope might work for some people, but yeah, really simple options for you there. And you can sub those out as you see fit. Next, the MASH is replacing the name game. So we're putting the name game on hold for a period of time, and we're replacing it with the MASH. I'll explain what that is in a different video. You're gonna see that on Saturday, but basically realize that we're just putting the name game on hold for a couple months and opting for a volume intensive version of that with the intensity coming down just a little bit because it's gonna have to be. So I'll explain more on that on Saturday, check that out. So those are like the big focal points. Again, 1RM development with the CrossFit Total and the strict gymnastics work, the Murph Prep and the run and aerobic work. We'll also move in some accessory works. Other big changes that we're gonna see. The mixed motor work is gonna be backed off. So basically think of it as like traditional like CrossFit Metcons, be backed off to about twice per week. And I promise you that is enough. If you find yourself who's really like, you're like kind of craving more Metcons, you need to kind of keep yourself in check as to why you actually wanna do that. And you probably are just trying to like beat yourself down a little bit more than you need to, right? That's part of the reason why you're actually part of the protocol, is because you want to have a coach leading you through this. You need to trust the program, right? You don't need to do super intense Metcons year round. The games athletes don't do it. You don't need to do it, all right? So check yourself if you're in that bucket. Next thing is that Thursday will not be a rest day. So it's going to be basically 6 training days back to back, and then rest day on Sunday. If you're someone who logistically that does not work for you in your week, you can certainly rearrange the week a little bit where you choose to put the rest day, say like Wednesday is just a day where you're slammed for work. You could move the rest day to Wednesday, space it out through the rest of the week, and that'd be perfectly fine. However, just kind of plan ahead accordingly. Again, if you're someone who has been sort of counting on that Thursday rest day, I would probably say Thursday would be the day to skip if you're going to skip a day in the protocol. It's going to be like deadlifts and like strongman work and some stuff like that, where you really don't have to like hinge heavy every single week. And that's something that can be really stressful for people. So if you find yourself maybe under recovering, you just really feel like you need that rest day, take that second one on the Thursday, skip that session completely, and then move on. I don't necessarily recommend doing that, but if that's something that you need to do, that's perfectly fine. The other big thing, so what that means is that if we have 6 training days in a row, is that, again, not all of the work can be super stressful all the time. Plus, we're actually bumping up the sessions because we're doing some of this easy accumulation aerobic work in the mornings. So again, just realize that you're not gonna walk away from every session being trash, and that is a really good goal. The goal is to adapt, not to, make yourself hurt, right? The goal is to get better. So I promise you will if you follow the program. So what does this mean? So again, we just had to work on our stress management. We're gonna be doing more aerobic work that's a little bit on the easier side, more accessories, less Metcons. And we're gonna be putting all the other stress and adaptation that we can towards strength work. So I'm really excited for this cycle. I think it's gonna, get some good numbers out of everyone. We're gonna be running this for probably 8 to 12 weeks. We'll see based on the feedback that I'm getting from my athletes. So make sure you're posted in the forum below. And then, excited to really get after it. Do your best to actually record pre and post lists. We're gonna be doing a testing phase early on and then a retesting phase at the end of this base cycle. So I wanna see some big PRs. Make sure you post them and tag us. Let me know if you got questions, as always, stay the course.